Welcome back to the Proximities Power Podcast. This is episode 7, and I have one of my best friends with me today, Zeke Mangum.
Dude.
He's from Salem, Utah, and he's an absolute beast. He's only 23 years old, and he's like accomplished, done more than a lot of people, and not to say that's everything, but super impressive guy. And I'm really excited for today's show because I think he's taught me a lot, and he's gonna probably add a lot of value to you guys today. So Zeke, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. I'm excited. This is fun.
Let's go. Zeke, well, let's just get right into it. So you're from Salem, Utah. Let's talk about a little bit about your background growing up.
Yeah, so originally born in Indianapolis. When I was young, before I can remember, moved to Payson, Utah. So elementary school was in Payson, Utah, just like a skip away from Salem. When I was in 7th grade, my parents bought a home in Salem, moved there. I was playing soccer with a lot of guys in Salem anyway, so it was an easy transition. But went to high school there, and yeah, that's where I'm from.
So Payson, so Indianapolis, what city in Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
Okay.
So Indiana's the state. Indianapolis is the
right.
city there.
Well, I knocked there one summer and
Okay, cool.
Carmel, Nebelsville, all those good fishers. So you don't remember Indy at all? Because how old were you when you moved to Payson?
Like 2. So we went from Indianapolis to Michigan for a little bit. So that's where my grandparents live there. So that's where our Michigan ties come in. So not a complete bandwagon, but definitely excited they won. And then from there we moved to Vegas.
Okay.
And then to Orem and then to Payson. So
Okay.
Payson's where I first remember for sure though.
Okay. Payson, how old were you? Probably
Like 2, 3.
okay, 2 or 3, and then you moved to Salem when you were in 7th grade.
Mhm.
So you grew up mostly Payson and then Salem.
Yep.
Heck yeah! And what did you do for fun growing up?
So, I mean, always loved soccer, still do, but soccer was the big thing. When I was in Payson, going through elementary school, I played on a competitive baseball team and just burnt me out. I still hate baseball.
Yeah.
I do not like baseball at all.
Same.
But yeah, did that, and then always played football, liked football. But once I was done with baseball, got into soccer, and that was kind of the thing. But
Zeke's the biggest Messi fan you'll ever meet.
biggest.
Biggest.
Yeah, so I did that. But besides that, really just kind of ran around with friends. That was it. I went to practice, spent time with my family, went to school, hung out with my friends, and that was my life until I was a senior in high school. So
Heck yeah! And
No.
what did you want to do when you were little growing up?
I had no idea what I really wanted to do. My dad's a physical therapist, so I thought, hey, that might be cool. I like that he still works with athletes and same medical field. I thought people in the medical field honestly made more than they did, and I thought that was really cool. Well, at least the physical therapy field. And then for a little bit, I thought I might want to be a dermatologist, kind of back to physical therapist and
Dermatologist?
Yeah, thought that would be cool.
Skin doctor.
Yeah, definitely didn't want to do the school for all that. And yeah, I kind of ended on physical therapist when I left on my mission. I thought that was probably what I was going to come home and go to school for. But yeah, kind of pivoted.
Yeah. So wait, okay, so you graduate high school, what year?
2019.
19. Okay. And what is Zeke thinking right then?
Dude, Zeke's scared right then. Zeke is not excited for the mission. I was super, super nervous.
Well, you were planning on going to mission, but you were kind of nervous about it.
So, I mean, growing up, I always planned on going on a mission. That was the goal. Probably junior year, towards the end of my junior year, I really started questioning, hey, is this something I actually wanted to do? Felt like a big commitment. And I definitely didn't just want to go do it because I felt like I had to and my parents had to. So I remember kind of having a conversation with my mom where she kind of kept bringing up, hey, mission, we got to be getting ready for the mission. And I just slammed the brakes. I was like, hey, I don't want to talk about it again until I decide this is something I actually want to do. So I didn't want to be one of the guys who went out because I felt like I had to and didn't enjoy the experience. So I also didn't want to go try to preach something to people I didn't completely believe in. And I always had that thought in my head of how can I completely believe in this? It's all I've ever known. Somebody who's a Jew is going to say the same thing as me. He completely believes in it,
Right.
Muslim, all these other things.
Yeah.
So through the beginning of my senior year, me and my buddies would go to different churches. So we went to like mass, we went to on some like undenominational churches. Yeah. And just from that, like I started feeling much more comfortable with my faith. And
Dude, that's cool that you kind of went on your own like spiritual religion journey.
yeah, I felt like if there should have been nothing to hide, right? Like if I found something that made more sense, then I was super cool with that. And if I didn't, then I was cool with where I was. But then halfway through my senior year, I was finally like, oh shoot, like this is something I feel like I need to go do. Yeah. So got the papers ready, and when you did that,
did you get called? I know, but
I got called to Puebla, Mexico.
Right.
So I started my mission in August. Went to the MTC in August in Provo for 3 weeks. And then after those 3 weeks were over in Provo, they sent me to the Mexico MTC, which is kind of like a rough transition, honestly. I hated that. But then got to Puebla right after that. So
how was the mission?
Short. It was awesome. I'm super grateful for it. When I first got home, I wasn't as much in that boat. But so I was out for 6 months. At about 4 months, I just started passing out all the time. Didn't really know what was wrong, but also didn't really overthink it. I didn't feel like, I felt sick.
Did you pass out much as a kid, or was this like...
No, I've never passed out up until this point.
You were passing out like often?
Like, like for a second there, it was like at least every day.
Wow.
So I was sick. Like, just Mexico, the food, everything. My stomach and body was not used to it.
Yeah.
But wasn't passing out. I didn't feel like being sick was linked with that. And just kind of like let it keep going. At the time, I had a companion who didn't really care that much. But got a new companion. This companion was pretty protective over me. He's actually still one of my best friends. I love him. He's from Mexico City. But one day I was just walking in the road. Like, we got right off a bus, like took 2 steps from the bus, and I just collapsed. So he was panicking, freaking out. He called our bishop, came and picked me up, and this was like the worst one. Normally when I pass out, I'd be pretty dizzy when I got back up, like, but I could start walking. My legs were like worthless right in. So it took me to the hospital. They were running a bunch of tests, couldn't really figure anything out. And then for the next like 4 weeks, I was just like basically in and out of the hospitals, like different ones, going to different specialists in Mexico, and their healthcare system isn't quite as good as ours here in the United States. So the church decided to send me home to try to get it figured out. I came home in the very beginning of February, and COVID hit 2 weeks later, and they told me that was it. I was done. So
wow.
Yeah, kind of a crazy time.
Dude, I bet your parents were super worried hearing about you passing out and then being in hospital for a month in Mexico.
Yeah, and to clarify, I wasn't like in the hospital. Like, I would go home. It's just I always had to go back and like go. Yeah. They were running tests and doing stuff. But yeah, my mom was. Both of them were worried, especially my mom. When I got back home, my dad was pretty quick to try to get me in to figure everything out. He really wanted me to get back out as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Then the whole world shut down with COVID.
Yeah, whole world shut down. Yeah, didn't see that coming. But no, they were worried. Luckily, it's just like pretty contingent on my diet and stuff. We never completely like for sure figured out what it is. I still get similar symptoms sometimes. Like me and Maisie were getting pizza a couple weeks ago, and like it's the first time in probably 2 years that it's happened. But whole world just started spinning. I was like, I'm going down.
Oh no.
But no, it's like they can't quite figure out what it is. The issue was, so they set up like a Holter monitor when I was on my mission. I think is what it's called. You know what that is? So it's like a bunch of little monitors. They stick them all over you. And then you wear it in like a bag, and it just tracks your heart rate. And they were seeing that when I was asleep, my heart was like not beating. Like, it was beating, but like way slower than it should have been. But when I do something as simple as walk, started beating way too fast. And so just the jump in between how slow it was to how fast it was. I wasn't getting enough oxygen to my brain is what it sounds like. I still don't completely understand the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a tough situation.
Crap. Okay, so it's February. You just got back from the mission, and now the whole world's shutting down in March, COVID. Where are you at right at that point?
Dude, it was a pretty rough time. Like, I remember in high school being like sad at times and like kind of thinking, am I depressed? Like, what is this? Say that's the only time in my life that I've been anywhere near there. Like that was rough. Just felt really lonely, felt abandoned.
A lot of your friends were probably out.
Yeah, a lot of my friends were out. A lot of them came home for a second and then went back out because of the COVID thing.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't the best missionary in the entire world, but I feel like I worked hard. I followed the rules. I did what I was supposed to. When I came home, I was like pretty hurt. I was confused. I was like pretty angry at God. Just, hey, if I was doing everything right, like doing this hard thing, why in the world did you send me home and make my life this much harder? And so it was rough right then. And then on top of it, the world is just kind of crazy. Like couldn't go to stores anymore. Couldn't go to restaurants. Like, I mean, everything really shut down for a second. So felt like this weird limbo situation where, you know, just felt like I was kind of just a waste of space. Like I wasn't doing a whole lot with life. And yeah, that was rough.
Did you try finding a job, or what were you doing with your free time?
Yeah. So before I left on my mission to kind of help, like to make money, because I wanted to pay for part of it. And then, you know, just to have a job, I worked as an electrician and we did underground stuff. So we'd wire in the electrical from the city into big buildings like Walmart's, Lowe's, Home Depot's. And I did that. I was just planning on doing that when I got home, but they didn't really have a spot for me. The other issue is they're kind of worried with my passing out. Like I wasn't allowed to drive for a little bit when I first got home, especially on the freeway. So I finally found a job that I could get to in Provo. It's called EngageX. It's I'd done it in high school. It was a call center. Dude, call center jobs are the worst jobs. Oh, that was miserable. And the time just passes so slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did that for a couple of months. And for like the first month, either my mom or my now wife would have to drive me or pick me up from work. So did that for a couple of months. I was thinking about maybe going back and work as an electrician, but then had a couple of buddies talk to me about some door-to-door sales stuff and felt like it was something I might want to do.
So started working and you're just kind of hating life. Everything, the world shut down. And was college on your radar at that point?
Yeah, so I almost had a full ride scholarship to UVU. When I got home, I was kind of in between semesters. I deferred my scholarship for 2 years when I left on my mission. So I still had like 18 months of it, and like we were figuring that out. So I really just needed something to do until the next school year. And so I was full on like, I'm going to school
in the fall.
I'm going to get a good job. And that was completely my path what I thought was my path.
And then, so Maisie's cousin, right? It's cousin. Dawson introduces you to summer sales. Kind of walk us through how you got involved in that.
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, just when you get home, I don't know. I know you didn't go on a mission. I don't know if you had this where I was always just like watching YouTube, like, how can I make money? How am I actually going to provide for a family?
Yeah.
You don't realize how expensive stuff is.
Right.
And he had done some pest control sales for his uncle. His uncle did a company called Romney Pest Control in Texas for 4 years. And I decided to go in and meet with them. We just met at his house. I still remember the first time I rolled up at his house. I came there, I called him, no answer. I knocked on the door. I was there for like 15 minutes before he rolled out of bed. So great first impression with Doss. But went in there and sat with him. And he was like, hey, I'm starting my own company here in Utah. So he's going to start a pest control company. He's like, just come work with me. Don't go back and work as an electrician. Don't go do anything else. Like, you should stick around here and do it with me. At the time, I was like, dude, there's no chance. Like, this sounds like the crappiest job ever. I have no desire to run around and knock doors all summer. Like, I want to spend time with my girlfriend, just got home, spend time with my family. And honestly, I was pretty worried that I wasn't going to be good at it. And up to that point, I was pretty good at everything else I'd participated in. Super worried about what other people were going to think. I was like, I don't want to go out here, suck, quit, and have it be like, I failed, you know? But I kind of told him no, even like a little bit the first time. It wasn't a firm no, but I was like, dude, I think I'm good. We met again, and he was like, I promise you that the lessons that you'll learn in and of themselves are worth it. Which I felt like at the time was kind of what I was looking for. Like, I wanted to grow and just kind of learn how I was actually going to make it in the world. Like, just start moving in some direction. But he also told me the money was really good and I can make a lot of it. Did you have this experience where people would say a lot of money? You're like, no, dude, give me a number. Like, how much is a lot of money? Yeah, I was so sick of hearing that because I'd heard it from other buddies, and I asked them, I was like, quantify it for me. How much is actually a lot of money? It's like last summer in 3.5 months working with my uncle, like, I made over $500,000, and I was just floored. Like I was like, $500,000. People go to school for 8 years to try to make that much.
Crazy.
And I was like, okay, dude, I'll come give it a shot. And remember, I was worried, like at the time of failing and having to go back and work as an electrician or do something like that. And I was just thinking, dude, worst case scenario is if I do go out and suck at this, that's my backup plan. And if I don't do this at all, that's my first plan. So might as well go give this a shot. Went out, did it my very first summer. Ended up really, really liking it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Making a decent chunk of money. I mean, way more money than I thought I was going to make. And was kind of hooked on more commission type jobs from there.
Holy crap. How did that first summer go? Like, how was your first week or two knocking? Because you were knocking here in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Walk us through that a little bit.
So you on my first day.
Yeah.
So first day I go out there, shadowed Austin for like the whole day, watched him get a couple deals. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I can do this. The next day I thought he was going to follow me for the whole day, and he followed me for like maybe 30 minutes. They didn't close a deal or anything, and then he took off, and I was super, super scared. I was in Mapleton. And yeah, I was running around knocking. I ended up actually having a really good first day. By myself, I sold 3 accounts. They're all like decent CVs for the time too. Yeah. And in my last hour, I was so worked up, like just emotionally drained. I sat on the park bench in Mapleton, started crying, and called my mom. I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like, people were so mean. Yeah. I feel so scared right now.
You still sold 3 that day.
I know. I'd made more money in a day than I'd ever made in my whole life.
Right.
And even just front end.
Right.
And I was like, it was just overwhelming. Like, I don't think I can do this. And yeah, that was brutal.
Dude, I remember
first week kind of followed course of that as well.
Dude, I remember that. Like, my first day ever knocking in Columbus, Ohio, my cousin drops me off. I had shadowed him for like 2 hours the Saturday before, and it was Monday. And I just remember, I'm like, I'm just going to talk to as many people as I can, and hopefully I find, a few people that feel bad enough and buy from me. But I remember I got 2 my first day, and they were like lay downs. Like, I was so lucky. But then just remembering at the end of that day, I'm like, holy crap, like I have to go do this same thing again.
For 100 days?
No, I was only out there 2 months my first summer, but still 2 months of this, I'm like, this is a grind. Like, I worked harder today than I have, my entire life.
Oh, for sure. I even remember one of my third sale, my first day, I got up there and I got all the way through like my intro and just started fumbling like as I was trying to transition into service. And I even said to the guy, I was like, I'm sorry for wasting your time. I suck at this. That's what I said to him on the door. And he's like, no, it's all right. Like, keep going. Are you being serious? He's like, yeah. So I go through it, and he just total pity sale. Yeah. He just bought from me. He's like, I'm a paper salesman. I know it's hard. He's like, does this stuff actually work? Well, honestly, dude, I think so. Like, to the best of my knowledge, yeah, it works.
He's like, control work.
Yeah. Okay. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. But yeah, my first week, I definitely landed some pity sales, and just like, you're looking for anybody just to tell you yes.
Were you thinking of quitting it all, or were you just like, this is pretty tough and it's just like a new emotional work challenge?
I don't know how close I actually got to quitting. I mean, I think I obviously had the thoughts of like, what if I just quit?
Yeah.
The closest I ever was I remember sitting in a gas station parking lot instead of working, which already was the first mistake. Yeah. But just really thinking like, if I just quit, I'd be okay. Like, I'm not too far into it now. Yeah. Would it be that big of a deal? Like, I'll just quit. But I had some really good people around me who were pretty encouraging and was like, hey, dude, just finish it out. Like, you're doing good enough already. Just finish it out. And then got into my second week, and honestly, for my second week, it's still one of the biggest weeks I've ever had. And from there, I was like, I can do this. We're good to go. So
you got some momentum, got through the learning curve, and figured it out. Dude, I feel like if people just had that one goal, like rookies that are going into their first summer, or like entrepreneurs like starting a business, like if you could just commit to it, commit to the summer. Hey, like, I'm a rookie, this is my first summer, but I'm going to finish the summer no matter what happens. like going in with that commitment would have served me, would have served you probably way more
Yeah.
than just like, hey, I hope I can make, 20, 30, 50 grand this summer. Like instead just be like, hey, I need to finish the summer. Like no matter what happens, I'm going to finish. And like if you finish and you do average, above average, like you're going to make, the money, it's going to follow. But most people just, don't go into it with that commitment. And I think it hurts them,
For sure. I always tell people when they come in, rookies too, I'm like, a lot of the times the best sales reps that I see come out aren't there. Like their main driving point isn't like money motivation. They're not here to just make a ton of money.
Yeah.
They're here because they want to grow and they want to learn.
Right.
They're like, hey, I'm just trying to learn how to sell.
Totally.
So if I make $0 in this process, but I learn how to sell, cool. Like all good by me. They're ultimately the ones who usually make the most, because on the days where they're not making a bunch of money, they're still just working because that's not their main driving force.
100%. And there's so many people out there that are doing unpaid internships.
Yeah.
Or even like 8 years of college, that they're taking out loans for.
Yeah.
And like you can seriously learn sales and business for free in a summer and get paid on the job. So I think it's just like the mindset that, you approach the summer with. But I agree 100% because the skills alone are invaluable. Like if you and I didn't make anything our first summer, like it still would have been worth it just for the skill set. Would have we agreed to do this job and stuck it through if you weren't getting paid?
Yeah.
Probably not. I wish I could say yes to that, but I think I agree 100%. Like the skill set alone is invaluable. So Zeke finishes his first summer, balling out, committed. It was hard, and you stuck it out. And then, what are you kind of thinking at the end of that summer? Is it like, holy crap, I'm gonna go do this forever? What are you kind of thinking?
No, definitely not forever.
Yeah.
So my first summer, I made just over 50 grand total, and I thought I was like the richest person in the entire world.
Yeah.
Like being 18, never having seen money like that. I was like,
awesome.
This is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't honestly know as I was finishing out the summer if it was something I wanted to do again, but very shortly after the summer, I was like, yes, I'm definitely going to go back and do this thing again.
Yeah.
So did that.
Did you start school in the fall then?
Yeah, I started school in the fall. So I enrolled at UVU, moved into Vineyard with a couple buddies, and I was having fun. I honestly wasn't thinking too much about work, but I was like, hey, I kind of want to have a small team to lead here in Utah this next year. So I was more like passively trying to build it. I wasn't as much like taking a lot of time out of my day to do it. It was more like if somebody happened to want to do it, I was like, cool, dude, let's talk about it. But from there, I was like, hey, my idea was like, I'm just going to take this money that I made and I'm going to start investing really well. And I was like, maybe I'll do this for like 1 or 2 more years and build up a little nest egg of good investments, then jump into like a real sales job.
Yeah.
Like go get something, because I really like sales.
Yeah.
But kind of like a pride thing. I didn't want to be a guy who's running around in door to door.
Yeah.
Totally. And so, that was my plan.
I love it. I'm kind of thinking like what my mindset was after that first summer. I didn't make near as much money. I made 20 grand, but I was only out there 2 months. You were there, what, 3.5?
Just under 3.5.
Which is still freaking good. Like you beat me that first summer. But I was 17. So, but
you got me in a year.
No, after that first summer, my kind of thought process was like, hey, it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go do this forever. I don't think anyone that starts knocking doors like falls in love with it right away. But it was like, hey, I'm probably going to be single and in college the next 4 years, and I'm going to have the summers open. And I did the backwards math on how much I made per hour that first summer, and it was $50 an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way I'm not at least going to sell in the summer. Like, it doesn't make sense not to. And I also, like, growing up, I always had like a dream to play college football and get a scholarship.
Yeah.
And making 20 grand was like a full ride scholarship for 4 years of school here in Utah with Utah, residency.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like I got a full ride scholarship, this summer for football, but it wasn't. And I could pay for school completely from, that first summer's earnings.
No, I did the same thing with breaking it down. So my second summer, I led a small team in Utah, like really small, super unprepared. Like I was like, I'm going to go out here. I was running my numbers. Like everybody's going to do the same as I did last year. Like going to be great. Was not the case. I was not prepared to be a leader at all.
Yeah.
Had a lot to learn. But still did well enough. Like had a couple guys do well, and I had another decent summer.
Yeah.
And that summer I ended up crossing the six-figure barrier. And I broke down the amount of money I was making. My second year. I broke down the amount of money after that second year that I made my first summer, that I made like just over 50. And I was making like $120 an hour. And yeah, I compared it to the amount. So when I was working as an electrician, I was making $13 an hour. Compare that 120 to the 13. I'm like, man, I just saved 9 years of my life. Yeah. Like that would have taken me 9 summers to make the exact same amount of money, not including investments, like taxes, other things. So I was like, just the money, like to each other. It was 9 years. And from there,
9 years of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. From there, that was more when I was like, okay, this might be something I do for a while.
Yeah.
After that second summer.
Wow. And I agree 100% because I think so many college, high school guys, you know, in a summer, they can make 15, 25-ish an hour, which ends up being between like 7 to 12 grand, you know, in a summer, depending on how long your summer is. But like you going in your second year, making over 6 figures, that's literally 10 times more than what most people make in a summer. And dude, it's crazy because you're right. Like you bought yourself 9 years of working pretty much, you know, at least in summer jobs. It's really cool. So did you go back to school after that second summer?
Yes. So after the second summer, I went back to school, did a fall semester.
You're still doing like generals at this point?
No, I'd almost had my associates from high school.
Oh, sick.
So I was into more of, at this point I've declared a marketing major. That's what I'm planning on doing. As I said, I wanted to get like a real sales job after this. I knew I liked sales. I liked the idea of being able to eat what I kill. Like, I didn't like the idea when I thought of my electrical job, somebody telling me I was worth $13 an hour. I'm like, well, if I just go out and work hard enough, I can make 120. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But went back for the spring semester. So after the fall, went back for the spring semester. And partway through that spring semester, I was sitting in class and kind of like, what am I doing? Ended up having to write a paper on something that I didn't really want to write a paper on. And at the time I was really busy with like recruiting meetings and preseason and just trying to get ready for the next summer, that just grabbed all my stuff that day in class and just walked out. I didn't finish any of my finals, bombed all of those classes that semester, but yeah, that was the end of my college experience. Got my associates just before that. So
wow,
no bachelor's.
Enough was enough.
Yeah, I probably, like looking back, I had a few credits I should have finished. Probably not going to go back now. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of like I only have so much time in the day. Am I going to pick school right now, or like, do I want to have as big of a summer as possible?
Right. Yeah. And you didn't have ChatGPT to help you with that?
No, I have ChatGPT.
Dude, that's awesome. So, so you wrap up. How'd that third summer go then?
Third summer was rough. We bounced around more than I would have wanted to. Had a couple issues with like getting licensed in a couple areas, and luckily we ended up finishing the summer strong. Like really, we threw away the whole month of May. But our average rookie that year did over $100,000 in revenue. So we were pumped about that. Gave us a lot of momentum into my fourth year. But yeah, third summer was a little rough. Learned a ton of really, really good lessons, and happy for it, for sure.
So how do you feel like, I guess, what advice would you give someone going out their first summer?
It's a good question. I think what you gave earlier is probably the biggest thing is, hey, just be all in if you're going to do it. Because if you have one foot out, it's really, really easy to find both feet out. Yeah. If you have both feet in and you're just like, hey, I'm doing this no matter what, you always see those guys succeed more. But I just find like a big reason why you're doing it, and then choose to be disciplined towards that reason instead of just motivated. But it's really just an input game. I think people overthink it. Like there's no like silver bullet or anything crazy. Training's important. You can learn a lot of good sales skills, but at the end of the day, the best salesman in the world, if he only knocks 5 doors, is going to sell a lot less than like a very mediocre salesman who's knocking 150. 100%. So just be all in on like, I'm going to work really freaking hard.
I love it. Gold. What about advice you'd give someone that wants to go from like being a top producer or sales rep, or even like going into their second year and they want to start like leveling up and becoming a leader and recruiter? Like what advice would you give to someone that wanted to go make that leap?
I think for me, when I made my biggest leap with that, I kind of started learning what sales was more. Like all I view sales as now is, hey, somebody's currently right here. Oops, my bad. Somebody's currently right here. They're trying to get to here. Am I going to be able to help them bridge this gap? If I'm not able to help them bridge that gap, then I'm probably not the best fit for them, and that's okay. If I am, though, then I'm trying to help them see, hey, how can I get you from here to here? And with your true intention being like, hey, I'm really out here to help people. I want to put them in the best position possible. Then I just feel like things start going your way that way. So that's the first thing, is like coming in from like a very honest standpoint of, I'm here trying to help people. Can I help this person? And if not, that's fine too. Like sometimes you can't. Sometimes places are a better fit for a specific person, and that's cool. But then two, it's just if you want to like get more into leading, get more into managing, I think it's just like a big reps game. Like how much practice are you getting? It's like knocking doors. Like I'm sure even if you didn't do any trainings outside of while you're actually working, you'd probably be way better now than you were when you started, right? Just from all the repetition. I think it's the same thing. And if you take the same principle of I'm trying to talk to 60 decision makers a day while I'm out there on the doors, and bring it into, if I'm trying to build teams, lead, manage, I need to talk to a ton of people every single day to find good quality sales reps that are actually going to go out, work hard, are going to be a good fit for the culture. Then that doesn't mean I'll passively talk to 2 people a month and expect to come out with a full team. It used to be like, no, I'm going to reach out to 20 people every single day. And just from a sheer law of averages standpoint, you're going to have some quality dudes come in, and you're going to have plenty of them.
Gold. No, I agree 100%. I feel like so many people, like I even took the law of averages and like decision makers to like dating. Like my friends that like say they're not, they're trying to get married. I'm like, well, how many dates did you go on this month? Like, how many girls did you message? How many people did you talk to? How many dates? How many second dates? And it's like sifting through those people to go find, the diamond for you. But I agree 100%. And same with leading, like trying to figure out what your goal is as a leader. And like, if you can come from a place of like truly wanting to give and serve the best you can, then that's gonna be felt by everyone involved, and you're gonna be in a good spot.
Yeah.
Okay. No, love that stuff. And then this last summer was your 4th summer, right?
Yep.
How did this last summer go?
Last summer was great. Yeah, it was definitely best summer without a doubt. Yeah, all the guys killed it. Had like multiple leaders break the 100,000 in earning mark, which was like my main goal this year. Is I wanted to see a lot of the guys just have really big earning summers. And we did that. Had awesome guys around. A lot of guys grew, and coming back, hopefully can have bigger ones. So
heck yeah, that's awesome. What advice would you give someone that made some good money, whether from this job or a business or just work in general? What advice would you give to someone that just earned some money?
Just delay your gratification as much as you can.
Yeah.
I feel like you've done this better than even I have, but it's all a sacrifice, right? Like no matter what you do, you're sacrificing something for another thing. Mm-hmm. And the definition of a sacrifice is just giving up something in the short term for something you want more, that you perceive more valuable in the long term. You see so many guys go out and they get a brand new car after their first summer. Like I remember didn't you talk about wanting to get a Mercedes or something right when you got home?
Yeah, G-Wagon or just an S-Class car, yeah.
Yeah, so like wanting to go out and just blow your money on things that you think will make you happy.
Right.
If you just delay the gratification for a couple years, you can have so much more. I also think like you build yourself up such a better base by funneling all your money into good investments, whether like even if those aren't financial, but like investments into you. I mean, if you're going to be buying a bunch of liabilities and wanting luxuries, it's way more comfortable to be having your investments paying for them than your hard-earned money that you spent your time to actually work for.
100%. And I feel like just in life in general, like the people that can have the long-term vision and the long-term perspective rather than the short-term, easy short-term gratification thing, do way better in every area of life, not just financially or investing, but like short-term you know, eating healthy,
Yeah.
you know, short term, going to the gym every day,
Yeah.
rather than, you know, eating Twinkies or McDonald's and not working out, you know. But health wise, relationship wise, spiritually, like all walks of life, like if you can just have the long term perspective, you're gonna be so much better off. And like pretty much everyone I really like aspire to be like did that in some area of life.
Yeah.
You know? And so yeah, that's a huge thing. What do you believe makes Zeke different from 99% of other people in the world?
I mean, a lot of it truly is just luck. Like, I was born into an amazing family. I was born in not only into the United States, which like you already win the lottery, but born into Happy Valley, Utah.
Totally.
Have amazing friends around me. Never got into anything I shouldn't have when I was young, which like just propels you, that alone. Was given awesome opportunities by great people when I needed them the most. And yeah, I think like truly the biggest thing is I've had awesome people around me for sure.
Proximity is power.
Proximity is power, baby. Yeah, no, it's true. But from a more internal standpoint, like I've been kind of fortunate to fall in love with the process a little bit more of different things and understand that I don't need to be in a rush all the time. Something I really struggled with at the beginning. And kind of we talked about just delaying gratification. Like being in a rush is normally where people really set themselves back. Like I love the story. Like, so Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, when they started Berkshire Hathaway, you know, they had a third partner, right? Yeah, so they had a third partner. I don't even remember his name, which kind of proves the point. I think it's like Rick or Matt or something, something pretty generic. But Warren was asked about him in an interview, and what happened with this guy is he made a couple pretty like more risky investments, ended up going sideways for him. He had to sell his Berkshire Hathaway stock or like ownership to Warren. So now he's out of the picture. And Warren said about him, hey, he's just as talented as us. He was just as smart as us, as good of an investor, businessman. His only issue was he was in a rush. And
was trying to 10x the money really fast and make riskier investments.
He just wasn't like anywhere near content with where he was, and he wanted to be farther than he should have been. It's like you can only hold up so much weight, right? It's like if you're lifting and you try to jump into a way bigger weight, you're gonna hurt yourself. I did that a lot when I first started making money, because like any idea sounded like a good idea, right? Really bad shiny object syndrome, would jump into anything. And over the last couple of years where I've had like very, very good consistent growth, but also like way bigger growth than I think I could have had doing anything else, was just not being in such a rush. Like understanding, hey, if I keep doing the right things the right way, it's just going to come with time.
That's really good advice.
Yeah. It's like for example, in door to door, I mean, that's like what a lot of people here do is I see guys jumping around so much. It's like shiny object. Oh, well, like this might be a little bit better in this situation. This might be a little bit better. And I look at a lot of my buddies who started with me at the same time at different places, who've been to 4 different companies, done a bunch of different things. And don't get me wrong, it's super important to make sure you're building on a good foundation, because you can't build if you're not on a good foundation. But I've also just plugged into the same thing for 4 years now, and it just has started compounding. And I give a lot of the credit to just sticking in the same place, doing the same thing, not jumping out of sales into a different industry to jump back and like continuing to kill your momentum, to like pretty much all the success that I've had, the small amount that there is.
The small amount that there is. Zeke's really humble. But the other thing one thing that you talked about is like, I asked what you believe makes you different, and you kind of said that like you've been really lucky and blessed to like, have the parents and be born in the place that you were born. And I think that's true, 100%. Me too. Like I was born in a really good family, good parents, Utah, you know, out of all the countries in the world, the United States. But I think every single person is like dealt a hand, you know, when they're born. You know, you can't choose how tall you are. You can't choose what color of hair you have. Like you can't choose like so many things, and you're dealt this hand. You can't choose who your parents were, your name, and like you're dealt this hand, and like so much of life is just like getting dealt this hand, figuring out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and playing your hand the best you can.
Absolutely.
And I think that you like maximize like the opportunities, the relationships, and everything. And I think some people do like think of it as a blessing, like everything you've been given, the parents and everything. But some people like, woe is me. I didn't grow up in this family, or I didn't have this growing up. Like this person I'm jealous of because of this.
Yeah.
Type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I say that because I think it'd be ignorant to not be like, hey, I've been dealt a good hand of cards, without a doubt.
Totally,
but
too.
I've heard this quote. I don't remember who it was from. I know I heard it on YouTube somewhere, but it says that you can always find somebody out there who's had it worse that's done it better. And I think for like anybody listening to this, like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good of a hand you're dealt. If you don't like play the hand well, like you're not gonna win.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You can have like the worst hand. Like you can find somebody in just a situation you couldn't even comprehend.
Yeah.
That's done really, really well with what he's been handed. I definitely wasn't trying to say it can be an excuse.
You know, but I wasn't saying that you were. I was just saying like, no, I agree 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Something else I want to ask you, Zeke, is what do you feel like is your main life purpose, or what would make Zeke feel proud of, like if at the end of your life?
Yeah, this is a good question. I've thought about a lot about this, especially over the last 2 years. Like when I first got home from my mission, my only definition of success was how much money does this person have?
Yeah.
Can I tell that they have this much money?
Dude, are you serious? Because I literally used to think, have you seen the movie In Time? Where it shows everyone's like how much time they have left to live. And
I know what movie you're talking about. I haven't seen it though.
Okay. Yeah. It's crazy because it literally shows on your wrist how much time you have, and you buy everything with time.
Yes.
And the richest people have the most time. Anyway, I used to think it'd be cool to like see how much like money or net worth everyone's worth.
You didn't even think about it as time. You thought about it as money.
Like, what if everyone had like a dollar sign of how much they were worth? Like, you walk around the grocery store and like kind of like know. Because I was never that far, but I used to think that money is all that mattered. Sorry, I interrupt.
No, dude, you're good. I liked it. But yeah, that was like my North Star. That was all I was worried about.
Like, what's your net worth?
Yeah, like how much money can I make? I think a lot of people go through that. I think most people do. But I don't know. I've kind of broken it down like success into different categories now. With the proximity is power thing, we'll keep going on that train. So I've met a lot of people now who, in every sense of the word, have like made it. I've had an opportunity to meet just people worth a ton of money, can never need to think about money again in their life. And a lot of them are assholes. Like I have no desire to be like these guys at all. And sorry. I got two things I can't talk about. Getting emotional. I can't talk about my dad and I can't talk about Christ. But I used to think like my dad was not a successful guy. Because I just viewed it as like, dude, and I had everything I needed, and more. But we didn't live in like Salem's a pretty affluent area. We didn't live in like a mansion on the hill. Like I didn't have a crazy nice car. Like I didn't get everything I wanted when I wanted it. And I was like, man, like I want to do these things for my kids. Like that's important for me. It's just so stupid because it wasn't. And I viewed my dad as like not super successful because he didn't make millions of dollars a year. And my definition of success has changed a lot. Like I said, my dad's a physical therapist. Growing up, I mean, he's working well over 60 hours a week. He's up at 4 a.m. in the clinic helping people, gets home at 6, does paperwork for a couple hours that night. And I grew up seeing him do that while he was bishop, which is like another full-time job on top of it. He would coach our games. He still like took care of his parents. And I don't think many people can say this, but I've never seen my dad and my mom get in a fight one time. I haven't even seen them so much as argue. he's never taken it out on me or any of my siblings. And he's always fulfilled like what's more important. And my definition of success has changed a lot to that. Like we've talked about this, but for me at the end of my life, when I feel like the day Christ comes back, there's going to be two groups of people. I think there's going to be one, because like you can't hide anything anymore. There's going to be some who turn away, they try to hide. I think there's going to be another group who are very proud and they go towards him. And yeah, like the definition of success for me there is I want to be the one who's running up to give him a hug. And I just want to help as many other people be in that same boat that I can. I don't want to feel like I need to hide anything at all. So sorry for the emotion.
Wow.
But yeah.
Dude, I want to give you a hug right now.
Thanks. Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool that you kind of like recognized like your thought of success, like who you used to be and what you used to think was true success and like true people that were dominating life to like what it is now, which is just like, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but like becoming like the best person you can be here and help people become that as well.
Yeah.
Dude, that's super cool. And I think that like, dude, same thing for me. And like, I think it took a lot longer for me to kind of change out of that mindset than I like to admit. But dude, I truly think like at the end of the day, at the end of your life, at the end of my life, you know, like we can't take any of the houses, any of the cars, any of the money, any of the success with us. What we can take is the person we became while we were here and the people we helped.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that's success. What success is to me is like, yeah, like how many people did I actually help? Like my favorite Christmas movie, and this is February, but going back to Christmas time, is It's a Wonderful Life. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
We've talked about this. You need to watch that. It's a Wonderful Life. I watched this Christmas and it makes me cry like the entire movie. But basically, this angel shows him what his life was like if he had never been born. And he just shows this like little city that he grew up in, because he was like 35 years old and he kind of felt like really depressed with how life was going, and you know his business wasn't doing as well, and you know he was about to take his life. He was suicidal, right? And then this angel comes down and kind of grants him a wish of like what would everyone be like if he had never been born.
Yeah.
And he gets to kind of like go to this place and he just kind of saw how big of an impact and how much he actually helped this community, how much he helped his family, and like he kind of saw like all the things that he was like started to become grateful for. And it's just such a powerful idea, because like at the end of the day, like you could get hit by a bus tomorrow, so could I.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you proud of the person you are, or you were on track to become, and how many people did you actually help while you were here?
Yeah.
You know? No, dude, I agree with you 100% on that. That's freaking cool. And on your dad too, like, yeah, like you told me too, like you've never heard anyone say one bad thing about your dad, and everyone's always coming up to you and telling you how much he helped.
Yeah, every time we go to the store, like I can't go anywhere with my dad around where he lives and not have some person I've never met in my whole life come up to us and be like, oh, if it wasn't for your dad, I still wouldn't be able to move my shoulder. Like they just love him. And I think there's two things kind of to continue to elaborate on it now that make success. And I think the very first one is being at the top of your field in what you do. I think there's like some pride in that, because that means you're working really, really hard and you're just willing to perfect your craft. Like there's a massive barrier to entry there. And in my dad, like he's the most successful person I know of my like now definition of success, because he's one of the best physical therapists, especially hand specialists I mean, I'm biased obviously, but in the country, and I know it because like, at least in the state, because everybody wants to see my dad when they have issues. But the second thing is like, how are you operating? Like, it's cool to have all the money in the world, but if you wronged everybody to get there, like, what's the point? Is that fact that I've never seen anybody say or heard anybody say anything ill word about my dad. It's always positive and actually making like a big contribution and benefit to society.
Dude, I bet he's proud of you. Look at you.
So
Proud over here. Dude, no, I agree 100%. And it's not like to say that you, like you said, like you're not going to go maximize, you know, your abilities, your talents. Like, I think you absolutely should like use your strengths to go help the marketplace, help your family, help people better than like the best you can. Right?
Yeah.
And I think like you said too, like, have the mama mentality, right? Not to, no pun intended, right? But like the mama mentality, like whatever you're going to do in life, like do it to the best you can.
Yeah.
Like go take the Kobe approach to, you know, your business, investing, your family, your relationships with your significant other,
Yeah.
with your health, with your relationship with God,
Absolutely.
you know? 'Cause like you can either do it like the best you can, or you kind of half-ass it and go through the motions.
Yeah. There's nobility in like any job done well.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you're the CEO of McDonald's, like be the best CEO that you possibly can be. If you're a school teacher, be the best school teacher. If you knock doors and sell pest control, be the best at that. And like, if you dig ditches, like be the best damn ditch digger in the entire world. Like any job well done is, yeah, I think there's nobility to it. So I really like that.
No, I agree 100%. Dude, I'm excited to rewatch this whole thing. I'm getting, let's see. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you feel like has been, let's see, what have you read that everyone should read?
A book?
Yeah, books. Let's talk top 3 to 5 favorite books of Zeke, or books that you think everyone should go read.
Okay. Do you have a specific like genre book? Or?
Nope, it's up to you.
Okay, first book, best book ever, Believing Christ.
Heck yeah.
Okay, read that one. Atomic Habits is amazing. That's like, I know a lot of people have read that. It's a pretty generic one, but I feel like I've implemented more from that book into my life than almost any other book that I've read.
Totally.
Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek is like a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. And Standing for Something by President Hinckley is also amazing. I really like that book.
It's a good book.
There's my 4. Do you want more or 4?
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Those are all fire. Another thing I want to ask you is, what advice would you give somebody that wanted, like, let's say they're 12, 15, 21, 30, and they are watching this or listening to this, and they aspire to be better in life. What advice would you give somebody that wants to be more like Zeke? To do or be, or yeah.
I think always focusing on the inputs. I know like I've continued to talk about that, but you can only control so much, right? So just focusing on what's in your control and trying to ignore the rest that's out of it. And I waste a lot of energy worrying about things that I just can't change. And I feel like I've gotten better at it, but just focusing on the inputs. I wish I would have done that more when I was younger too.
Yeah.
And I think just getting in a really, really big habit of operating honestly with people. Like everything you do, just like even little white lies. Like, I mean, we all tell them, like everybody catches themselves sometimes. Just trying to even squash those things as much as you can. I don't know. Like, I think, especially when you're younger, like you kind of said at the beginning, like 12 through 15, I think that's a really big age where like everybody just starts lying like crazy. And I think squashing that as quickly as you can will always fare better for you in the long run.
I love it. I think the inputs thing is super important, because technology and everything like is training us to like want things now. We expect things now to be done fast.
Yeah.
We want to be, we want to post once and have 1 million followers the next day.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not that way in a lot of things. And like a lot of people get discouraged, you know, if they set a goal and they're not immediately like on path or on
Rewarded
track.
for it.
Yeah. And like it goes back to short-term gratification or like the long-term picture or perspective. Like if you can, like Jeff Mendez and Casey Baugh and Bodie always talk about like focus more on the sowing rather than the reaping.
For sure.
Right? Like focus more on your inputs rather than your outputs. Like have a clear goal of what you want to do, but then make daily habits or weekly things that are going to help you, you know, go do that.
Yeah.
You know, and commit more on the sowing rather than the reaping, I'd say.
For sure. I think I know in the past I've had like a really bad issue with mental masturbation where like I'll just like for planning, for example.
Such a weird phrase.
It is a weird phrase, but I can't think of anything that describes it better. It's like you think of like planning, for example.
Yeah.
I think it's like textbook, what most people do New Year's resolutions is they sit there and they take a whole day to plan out all these crazy things they're going to do for the year. And as they're doing that, they're getting like dopamine hits the entire time because like part of them feels like they're achieving it. And I'm not against planning at all. I think you should plan. I think you should set goals. But to just be like, hey, I want to, like, for example, I want to make $1 million this year. But then you don't actually like set yourself up any path to actually do it. All it is just like making yourself feel good. And it's not going to yield anything real. But yeah, I don't even remember completely where I was going with that. What did you say right before?
No, we were talking about like just inputs.
Inputs, yeah. So like
reverse engineering and then figuring out the inputs that would actually lead you to the result, right?
Yeah. And then just like focusing on what you control, because like dreaming and all of that is super cool. But yeah, if you don't do that, if you don't actually like put your head to the wheel and get going, put your shoulder to the wheel, you're not going to achieve any of it.
Heck yeah. What are some habits that you have, like daily or weekly habits or yearly, that you feel like give you a huge advantage?
I mean, I start working first thing in the morning. I don't think that's a for everybody thing. Like, I think everybody's different, right? It's like, what are you trying to accomplish? And you know yourself well, like, be honest. What's the way for you to do that? For me, if I wait till the end of the day to get my stuff done, I'm going to choose to not get it done a lot of the time. So first thing in the morning, after like I get up and like shower and stuff, I just try to start working. So I get like all of my most important tasks that I know I need to do from the night before done that morning. So I'm usually like completely done with everything I absolutely have to do that's not scheduled in my calendar by like 11 a.m. noon.
Yeah.
So for me, like just getting all the kind of boring work out of the way early has been good. I like to act like I've been so good at working out for a long time. That's not true, but I will say I've been very consistent for like 3 months. It's made a massive difference in just how I feel. I pray with my wife every single night before we go to bed. I think that out of all of my habits, that's the most important, because there's something strong with a marriage where like you can hear your spouse pray about you and vice versa.
I saw a stat actually that said like,
I know, I've seen the same one.
Yeah, it's like if you pray with your spouse like at least once a day, your chance of having a divorce or like an unhappy marriage goes down by like, I want to say like 70%.
Yeah, isn't like the divorce rate like 40? Because I think it goes up to 90 if you pray with them every day.
Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, like of staying together.
Yeah,
but
90%.
Not at divorce.
Divorce.
That, and then
that's cool.
One thing me and my wife have implemented is we just read together every morning.
Heck yeah.
And that's been like good time
just
for us.
Read like a book, like self-help.
Oh, we read the scriptures. Cool. But yeah.
Love it. It's the best self-help book.
Best self-help book. Yeah.
And then wrapping things up a little bit, this has been freaking awesome. Lots of gold. Let's see. What's something that you've done that we should all do?
Okay, I got a good one.
Yeah,
I got a good one. So, you know me well now. I have a super bad issue with like, once again, not controlling the controllables, letting my energy take me in a place of something I can't control. And I will like, if I'm worried about something, I will dwell on it and I will freak out about it. It becomes my whole life for a little bit. For example, like a couple months ago, I was just super anxious. Like it was like what, probably 8 months ago? I don't know. But I was super, super anxious, like to the point where it was affecting my work, like affecting my relationships. And I would just read the news like for like 10 hours a day. I was just on social media way too much. And you always hear like, hey, you should delete social media. But nobody, like, you're like, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm actually going to delete social media. In October, driving down on a Sunday to my parents' house, I was just like, you know what? I'm just doing it. So I deleted all my social medias off my phone. I was like, I'm going to come back to this in 3 months and see how it is. But like for 3 months,
Wow.
no social media on my phone. I always made the excuse because I'm like, I need it for work. I need it for these things.
Right.
But I could just put it on my iPad.
Yeah.
And then that way, if I'm going to go on social media, it's intentional. Like I'm going on social media to do something,
Right.
not just to doom scroll.
Right.
And dude, I had crazy withdrawals. Like I've never had withdrawals for pretty much anything, but wild withdrawals for like a week from social media. You don't think you're addicted until you try to stop. And then after that, it got better. But there's one thing I can say that like I've saved so much time, done things I want to do way more. My relationships have improved. I just feel like way more calm and just a lot less anxiety. It was getting rid of all my social medias. Like first got rid of Instagram and everything. I was like, keep Snapchat and a couple others. And then like, I kind of was rebounding with those. So like, I just got rid of everything. And anybody like, hey, I'm not getting the things I want to done or have anything like, I'm feeling more anxious than I want to. I have no doubt that if you get rid of all the social medias and like probably just completely get rid of them, but if you need them, put them on an iPad or something where it's inconvenient to go to, you will enjoy life a lot more. So that's my piece of advice for anybody.
Dang, I love it.
Yeah,
that scares me to delete social media. But I'm trying to post content every day, so I don't know about that one.
Dude, you just have it on the iPad. You literally just post and then you're done.
Sure, I'm making excuses.
Yeah.
No, that's super cool. And I was at this Tony Robbins event in December, and he talked about like how social media, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok was totally changing the psychology of humankind.
Yeah.
How so many more people today are so significance driven because what social media like portrays is like a highlight reel literally of people's lives.
Yeah.
And you're only seeing all the good things that people are doing, achieving, places they're traveling to. And like, it's so dangerous for especially like people under 18, but all humans to like go down that trap. Like, and it makes you feel like you're not good enough. It makes you feel anxious. Most of social media and news channels especially talk about negative things for clicks.
Yeah.
Right. And I agree 100%. And like, I would say if you are on a social media too, like I take Zeke's advice, like try to get off it. You don't know if you're addicted unless you go
see
quick cold turkey. But also like if you are going to be on social media, try to follow mostly people that inspire you rather than people that like feel like, maybe some people feel like they're draining you or making you feel like you're not enough or whatever. But like be intentional with who you follow on social media and like what accounts and what you're doing when you're on it. Mm-hmm. Because like, and most people in the world are consuming rather than producing.
Yeah.
And I try to produce as much, if not more, than I consume in like a lot of different areas of my life. And that's been a big, big thing. So, dude, I love it. Freaking good. I'm freaking stoked to watch this again. But Zeke, like, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. We'll have to do it again and, after the summer. But if you guys got value today, rate it if you're listening. Like it if you're watching on YouTube, share it with a friend that you actually think would get value. Because guys, like the reality is like podcasts like this take a ton of time and money to produce. And like truly the reason I'm doing it is to try to help people like in any way I can. And so like if you got value, then I'm sure someone that would also benefit from listening to Zeke's story. And but thanks for watching. Until next time, peace out.